For this Wind of feature interview, I had the pleasure of catching up with Moana Maniapoto. Moana is a singer, a songwriter, a documentary maker, a writer, and also a current affairs host. He has her own show, Te Ao with Moana, on Māori television on Monday nights. Moana trained as a lawyer, and you'll see some of that sharpness coming through in the interview you're about to watch. But it was the arts that really attracted her. She's gone on to be a celebrated member of the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame alongside artists such as Dave Dobbin, Herbs, She Hard and Dragon. Moana's music, and I'll read for you now, it was considered the most powerful, enjoyable and important act on the main stage at WOMAD 2014, and Moana's performances have been seen around Europe, North America, Australia and widely in her native New Zealand. Moana currently divides her time between writing for the Sunday Māori and Pacifica magazine I Tangata, between filming, as she was when we caught up, a number of music videos, but it's Te Ao with Moana, her current affairs show, that is capturing most of her attention right now, and that was the focus of our interview. A great pleasure to catch up with Moana.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me, Kaylee, and thanks for all your help, the Blinder team. It's been awesome.
Nice one. Moana, there's a bunch of different ways that people can describe you, and there's different phases of your life, different elements of your personality that apply in different areas. But archivist is a word that I've seen you use. How do you describe yourself, and how does that fit in?
Oh, an artist who tries to be useful, really, and use whatever platform I can to start conversations or dig deeper behind kind of sound bites, whether that's using music or documentary making or current affairs, trying to connect people with each other, but also with different issues. So yeah, that's me. I love it. I'm having fun.
Nice. And the platform for that specifically at the moment is Te Ao with Moana, which you've had the challenge of producing not only from lockdown, but from lockdown with your workmates.
Well, there is that. So this is our second season in the show, and we started last year, which was challenging enough for someone like me who had major imposter syndrome. Not being a journalist, and then I sort of just got my game on towards the end, and hello, we're off here. So we've got another run at it, and I have my son who's come across from Marae, TVNZ, Pango Productions, to be a producer alongside Sarah Hall, who's an investigative producer. And then we have Yulia Leilua and Kimi Kaide Melbourne and other journalists. But we're sort of just like getting into our groove, and then hello, we had about 4 days notice, and we were all locked down. So that presented some interesting challenges for us.
Now, for those who, the very few people in the world, Moana, who may not be regular watchers of your show on a Monday night on Māori television in New Zealand, can you tell us a little bit about the show specifically, how it was produced and how you're doing it now?
Well, our show, Te Ao with Moana, is a current affairs show, and we used to go into Māori television, you know, with a studio, with all your flash visuals at the back, with cameras that move, and, you know, get that look over here and that look over there, and then an auto cue, which I never really liked, to tell you the truth. So you read these things that come down, the text, you know, tonight on Te Ao with Moana, we head to Te Teko, and, you know, and I always found that a little bit challenging, because I come from the stage where you just yell out whatever pops into your head. So we had a team of thousands, well, not really thousands. We had makeup artists and wardrobe and floor manager and people firing things in your ear, lighting people and all that. Well, on the Thursday, when we were told that we were out of Māori television, we had nothing. Yeah. So, and just like 10 minutes to grab groceries and grab the kid from school, and then lock down, and then sit there and think, okay, now what? Now what? So yeah, so then we came up with a few ideas to get through it.
Yeah. Hey, and watching from afar, I'm sure it's been, sure there's been plenty going on the inside, but you've been able to keep the production rolling and delve into all parts of New Zealand. Chaz Doherty comes to mind in particular, but into different parts of the world as well, and connecting with the indigenous communities.
Yeah, I mean, I was really lucky that in my bubble, my partner Toby is a producer director, and he owns all his own camera gear, sound gear. He edits as well. But usually he hires in all the flash people that really know how to do the awesome camera moves. He's got the sliders, and then he brings in these cameramen who can just do it, and they can zoom in and zoom out and do all this stuff. Well, hello, we couldn't have any of that. And then my son, who's a reporter and a director and a producer, they both had to like try and figure out how to do it on the spot. And so then, you know, we contacted Tapu Misa, who's the editor, one of the editors at E Tangata, shares our office. You know, the office that we had to abandon really quickly.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, holy moly, we can't go out with our crew like a lot of other programs can't. So she told us about Blinder. So we hooked up with you guys at Blinder, and that's just been a bloody lifesaver. So, you know, we had 4 days to put a show together, and everything was moving really quickly in the current affairs and political space and everything. And we just did all these interviews and managed to get them across, edit them at home, and get them across to Māori television so they could be compiled and go out that night. And it's just been like that for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it's meant that we've been able to talk to people right around the country in a really intense period, you know, about some, and I think that thanks to Blinder and the hookups that me and my son and our team have, we've been able to, you know, start some really valuable questions and conversations around equity issues for Māori and vulnerable communities during the pandemic. And then, of course, we've been able to shoot across to the States, to Australia. We talked to Dr. Kamara Jones, who was a former US president of the American Public Health Association. We talked to Dr. Chelsea Jones, who's an important voice for public health and Aboriginal issues in Australia. We talked to the president of the Navajo Nation and some important advocates there. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe we could save money by not flying anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
what do you
get
think
back to normal.
when normal resumes, whenever that is, and whatever it is, what do you think you'll take from this period? Because everyone's had to innovate a lot to, as you said, you got 4 days, Moana, to spin things around and keep producing a show. What are you going to take from this experience?
Well, I was really proud of our first couple of weeks, particularly that first one where we just kind of reacted and responded, and have been able to get what I think are really good programs to air. And I'm not very techo, I'm a bit useless actually, so my son's been really choice on that. I think what's been really cool is it's all about content. I hate that word actually. I hate that word. It's all about, you know, the issues and how you talk about them. So we understand that when we're watching our program or we're watching CNN or TVNZ, you know, she's a bit wobbly dog sometimes, the images, and we've all got used to that. And so who cares at the end of the day, really? So I think that that's really cool that we've all been in this boat together. And what we really want to see and hear are the important issues and stories that need to be told. And, you know, you can see a lot of rubbish on television that's got flash drone shots and bloody cranes coming out your ears, and you just, you know, start to yawn because, like, who cares at the end of the day? And I think in the current affairs space that this has been really an eye-opener. And for small companies like Māori Television that are challenged when it comes to money, and we want to do stories that have you know, that are important overseas for our audiences to hear, you know, it opens up new opportunities for us to be able to tell those without travelling.
Yeah, and we spoke before we caught up recording, Moana, just around the you talked about the restriction that you think some people in a formality that comes across people in that studio situation sometimes, you know, that you've got these bouncy, bubbly people that you're ready to rock and roll with, and then, you know, lights, camera, action, and not much action. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and I mean, I always preferred, I've interviewed politicians like before we went to lockdown, Paula Bennett and Shane Jones, and it's quite challenging to get anything interesting out of politicians just quietly because they've got their little memo that they stick to. But if you're in their space, if you're in anybody else's space, it's a lot more collegial and relaxing. And I watch people that have come into the studio sometimes, and we're having lots of fun and talking in the green room, and they sit down, and then it's all suddenly very formal. The lights are on, it's someone waving them down, and then suddenly it's like a little bit of the possum in the headlights thing. And
Yeah,
and I think it's nice to help people feel comfortable, so that they can talk freely. So
yeah,
yeah, that's what's been nice about Blinder, you know.
yeah. Hey, Moana, one thing that I noticed from afar with you is that you surround yourself with a real spread of ages. So I'm clearly aware that you're working with your son, who's got a very senior role within your team, and the work you do with my own father, who's old. He's old. It's
Sir
call a spade a
Gary,
spade. Sir Gary
he
Wilson
is
is.
not.
But it's quite a spread for you. There's maybe 60 years between those two guys. Is that
Yeah,
something that you consciously do to keep yourself stimulated, or is that just sort of the way it's worked out?
I think it's the way it works out because I kind of feel like there's so many. I gravitate towards people that are stimulating and inspiring and fun and intelligent and complimentary, and so they're all age groups, all different
Yeah,
cultures, and that's what's really awesome. And I like to learn off different people. I think that I know nearly everything, and then Sir Gary or my son will go no, and I'll like get a bit snobby on it and go, but then I think about it, and it's really awesome. The different people that are in my life that are, great thinkers that I tap into. My old friends, my old professors from university, and people like Moana Jackson, and have really good discussions with. And then, yeah, a lot of younger people as well. And my daughter, she's at home. She's been holding the flecky for us while we've been filming, and doing her own stuff from, the lounge. So, it's
I,
been choice.
she's the biggest media star in the house actually at the moment, isn't she?
She is, eh? She did that
Yeah,
voiceover for that Flash um, 18 video. And I was just astounded because I think Toby pointed the camera at her, and my son coached her in her vocal delivery. And when I heard it, I thought, "Wow, that's beautiful!" And matched with the
yeah,
pictures, it was quite relaxing in a very stressful time. That early days of that lockdown was just lovely.
yeah. No, sort of congrats to the family on all the different things that are coming out of that household in Muruwai. Moana, we touched briefly on live performance versus interviewing. Live performance meaning from your musical background. Moana's a celebrated member of the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame for those that don't know. But what's different in terms of how you are preparing for a performance when you are singing versus an interview?
Well, I love performing on the stage, and it's absolutely immediate, and it means you have to rehearse and think through your songs and get into the feel and the groove. So that is my real happy space, and I'm really pleased that we've managed to nail a couple of music videos when we were in lockdown. Unfortunately, when we went to level 3, we thought we'd go down the beach and do a sneaky drone shot. There were so many bloody people down there. It was unbelievable. They just all came out from Auckland, so that was a little bit challenging.
Yeah,
But for the current affairs space and trying to interview, one of my biggest challenges, and Sir Gary will back me up on this, is that I tend to over research, and I tend to overdo the questions, and like I want to know all the answers before I actually ask them. Well, apparently you're meant to just ask the questions and they answer it.
yeah,
But I want to know what they might say, and then I want to know what I might say to that, and then how they might respond. So I get myself into a bit of a tangle. And then I have like 25 questions, and people come along and go, you only need 6. So it's quite challenging. But at the end of the day, what I've learned, and what I can't help doing, is just actually ask a question and then listen.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's a gift, because I see sometimes a lot of interviewers don't. They kind of got their list of questions and then they want to stick to that, so they don't hear things. And then other times, yeah, and then other times I get to the end, and other times I get to the end of the interview because I've listened so much, I've been responding, and I think, bloody hell, I didn't ask that damn question. But most of the time I think I'm probably harder on myself than I need be. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that lawyer brain is going to be ticking away and interfering with the journalist side of the brain in some ways, isn't it? Hey, and just in terms of storytelling, you clearly do a lot of that now on TV, but the written writing stories has been a big part of your world of recent years as well. What's the big differences you see in how those forms of communication are done?
Well, I actually love writing because I think I find it relaxing. I find there's time to craft, to play with words, with phrases, and use metaphors and images. And I really love that. And I sometimes used to think that every piece I wrote was bordering on brilliant, until Sir Gary and Lady Tapu would come back and go, "What are you trying to say?" So I've learned that what I should do is just whack them off, an article after I've had a good day's work on it, and then see what they think. So I got a bit of a tick today from the boss. I was quite pleased with that. But yeah, it's I find it. I can only write when I'm really passionate about a subject. When I think, oh God, I'm not going to go to bed. I'm going to stay up all night and write this. I've got to get it out. I've got to get it out. So I've been really lucky to be mentored by those two, and it's quite wonderful for me, because it means it's been helpful in, when I write my sort of intros for my show, when I write the odd spiel that I do at the end of my show, my take two, then on the odd occasion I've flicked it across to Tapu to see if I've meandered off course, as I tend to do, and she has said, yeah mate, you're trying to shove too much stuff in there.
What's coming up on the show in the next little while, and what's coming up for you in life in the next little while from a professional perspective?
Oh God, you know what? I have no idea what's on the show on Monday. What's going on the show on Monday? I think, well, I am kind of excited about moving out of lockdown, though parts of me aren't. I've enjoyed being in my bubble, and it's been a good time to take stock. I'm not looking forward to the Northwestern Motorway, but we've got an election coming up, and so we'll be moving into that as soon as we can, and yeah, focusing on this current affairs show and trying to get my music out. My music videos finished, just finishing 4 music videos, so they're part of an album that's got international collaborations on it, from Taiwan to Canada to Norway. So yeah, might as well do something in my spare time.
Plenty of balls in the air, like normal.